Hey, this is the Wake Tech Math Club, and we're going to teach you some basic graphing commands built into the TI-89 calculator. First, we're going to type in our function. To do that, we're going to hit the yellow diamond, and then the F1 key where it has the yellow y equals. That's going to take us to where we can enter in our function. For this example, we're going to use the function 1/5 x to the 6th plus 1/5 x cubed minus 2x squared plus 1, and then hit enter, and that'll put the function in there for y1. Then if we go ahead and hit the yellow again and hit the F3 where it's got the yellow graph, it's going to take us to where it's going to graph our function. It's going to take just a moment here. And what we're going to be doing is we're just going to be using the F5 up at the top where it says math to do some basic functions with a graph. So first we're going to hit the F5 key. And the first thing we're going to look at is command number 2. So just hit the number 2 for 0. And this is going to find anywhere where it intersects the x-axis. Now it only finds one point at a time, so when it asks you for the lower bound, what we want to do is we want to select a point just to the left of where we see it intersecting the x-axis. So we'll go ahead and select that and hit enter. And then for the upper bound, we want to go ahead and select just to the right. So we'll go ahead and go right there and hit enter. That's going to think about it for a second. And the numbers it's returning there at the bottom, xc, negative 1.78818, that's where it intersects the x-axis. The yc there, negative 2e to the negative 13, is essentially 0. It's a whole bunch of zeros and then a 2 all after a decimal. So it's as close as the calculator can come to showing a 0. The next thing we're going to look at is how to find a minimum. That's also in the F5. And you see number 3, minimum, so just hit number 3. And we're basically just going to do the same thing. We're going to grab the lower bound just to the left of where we think the minimum is. So we'll go ahead and hit enter there. Then grab an upper bound just to the right. We'll go ahead and hit there. It's going to think about it for a second. And then we'll get the same thing. Down here at the bottom, we've got the x-coordinate and the y-coordinate of the minimum value at that point on the graph. And the maximum is basically the same thing. Just click on the F5, hit 4 for maximum, and we're going to grab the lower bound just to the left of that maximum there in the middle, and then we'll go ahead and grab the upper bound just to the right of that. We'll let it think here. Sometimes it takes a little while, especially if there's a large amount of values in between. But as we can see here, we've got an x value of pretty much essentially 0. E to the negative 38 is going to be 38 decimal zeros after the decimal point, and then a y value of 1. So basically our maximum is 0, 1. The last one we're going to do is intersection. Now for that we need a second line. So we're going to go back to the y equals, hitting the diamond in F1. And under y2, we're going to just enter the number 3, y equals 3. We go back to the graph, hitting diamond in F3. And now we've got a line y equals 3 going through our original equation. So what we're going to find is where it intersects our graph. So same thing, we're going to hit F5 for the math column. And you see that intersection is going to be number 5. So we hit number 5. It's going to ask you for the first curve. Whichever curve you're on, it doesn't matter. You just want to hit enter. Then it asks you for the second curve. Just make sure you're on the other equation that you're seeing and hit enter. Now it's selected both curves. It's basically asking which two curves you want to show an intersection for. Then it's going to ask you for the lower bound. So we pick to the left of where we see an intersection. And an upper bound. So we'll pick to the right of where we see it. And there we go. We showed that there's an intersection between the two equations at that x-coordinate, negative 1.9 approximately, and a y-coordinate of 3. So that's how you do some basic functions with graphing on the TI-89. There are some other functions that we can do, so look out for our next video on teaching you how to use more advanced commands.